Hi, welcome to ENVH 465-565, GIS and Public Health. My name is Edmund Cito, and I'm your instructor for this quarter. And for today's lab orientation, I thought I would record a short video to go through how to set up your computer for our upcoming labs. As you all are probably aware, we'll be teaching via Zoom this quarter. And in an announcement on Canvas, I mentioned that we'll be doing our labs using a computer service called CSDE, which I'll talk about today. And we'll run through the setup together because I know it's a little bit tricky. And so it might be helpful to see the steps that I take to set up my computer for the CSD terminal servers. But the idea is that hopefully by the end of this video, we will be able to have a Zoom window opened up on one side of your screen, and then also the CSD terminal server on the other side of the screen where you'll be doing your lab exercises. So if you look at my screen right now, I've shared my screen with you all. On the left, you can see this document here, which I shared with you over Canvas, called Working on CSDE Terminal Servers for the GIS Lab. And I'll mention a little bit about CSDE. CSDE is a service that's covered via your student technology fees. So it's available for all registered students. And what it is they provide a number of different technology services for students, but in particular, they have what's called a remote terminal server, which allows you to log into via your computer over the internet to their servers to run software that the university has licenses for. And that's really useful for our lab because they just happen to have a license and an installed version of ArcGIS, which is the GIS software which we'll be using for our labs and our instructions for this quarter. So if you look at the first item here and click on that link, that brings you to this website that I have open on the right side of my screen, where it describes some of the computing resources that are available for CSDE. And in particular, you'll see right here, they mention this remote access to Windows computing terminal servers. That's what we're going to be using for our labs. And you can see some subheadings that they have underneath here. They have a subheading for connecting to the servers. They have a subheading for choosing which server to connect to. And you can see they've got some different names for servers. And it looks like they recommend this one for student use. So CSDE TS4. And you can see the other ones are named similarly. They're just TS1, TS2, TS3. So we might try and set up TS4, and if that doesn't work for you, I mean, you might try the other ones. Sometimes certain ones can get busy, and so it might be helpful to set up multiple depending on which one's more in use at any given time. Yeah, I think I'm going to set up CSDE TS1 on my computer because I'm a faculty account, so they may not actually let me set up the TS4 one. And then down below here, they have some guidance on choosing a Windows drive letter on your computer. This is the windows that will open up in CSDE, and they have some guidance on which drive letters to save your files to. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. Okay, so if we go back to this document, the second item here is instructions for connecting to the CSDE terminal server. And that actually just, I think, links to this Start Here tutorial. And so we can click on that. And I think, yeah, you'll see the tutorial right at the top here. You'll see connecting to Windows terminal server. And there's different instructions. If your computer is Windows, you would follow these instructions. Or if your computer is a Mac, you'd follow these instructions. My computer just happens to be a Mac, and so I'm going to run through these instructions here. but you can see the Mac instructions ask you to install first this piece of software called Microsoft Remote Desktop Client Connection. And it's available for free from the Mac App Store. And so if you click on that, this will open up. And then you can press Get, and that would download the software over the internet to your computer. And then there's some following instructions for how to find that file that you just downloaded. And then if you click on it, it would install that piece of software on your computer. I'm not doing that because I actually already downloaded it, so it's actually already installed. So I can open that up on my computer, and then we'll set up the actual connection to CSDE together. So if I go to my Launchpad, I've got a copy of it here, Microsoft Remote Desktop. So I'll click on that, and you'll see this Microsoft Remote Desktop application is now opened up. I've got something set up for a different terminal service that I use, so ignore that. But I thought we can actually run through these instructions together. One thing you'll notice is that this window looks different from this window, and it's because what they're showing in their tutorial is actually an older version than the latest version, which is what I think you'll download. So there may be some confusion there. But we'll run through this together, and I'll show you how to set it up. So what we'll do is we'll hit this plus sign to set up a new PC remote desktop. And after we hit the plus sign, there's Add PC. So we'll select that. And you'll see it's opened up this window, and it's asking first for a PC name, a host name or IP address. And we can get that directly from the tutorial. So they recommend the CSDE TS3, and I think I'm supposed to use TS1 because I'm faculty. So I'll replace that with TS1. And then under user account, we can pull down on that, and I'll add a new user account. And if we look at their instructions on the right here, their usernames are netid followed by your netid username. And so in my case, it would be netid /eCito, because eCito is my UW netid name. Yours would be different because you're not eCito, I'm eCito. And then I'll type in my password here, and you'll type in your password there. And we can skip the other options and just press Add. Okay, and you'll see now it's kind of recognized that and has put that under the user account item here. There's some settings that I recommend. They're slightly different than the settings that they have here. We don't need a friendly name. That's okay. Group, we can leave that alone. Gateway, we can leave that alone. Reconnect, I think I'll leave that alone as well. And similarly, these I'll leave alone. There are some changes for under display. So let's click on display. And then instead of starting the session in full screen, let's uncheck that. That way we'll have a resizable window that we can push onto one side of our screen while we have a separate Zoom window still open on the other side. And then another setting I'll press is this one down below here, update the session resolution on resize. This will allow us to have a resizable window. And then devices and audio, I think I'll leave this as is. Folders, I think I'll leave as is. And then I'll press Add. Okay, and you'll notice once I've pressed Add, it's added this new PC remote connection to CSDE TS1. If I now double click on it, you'll see it's actually trying to connect. And shortly, you'll see that on my Mac, I've actually now opened up a Windows window to the CSDE terminal servers. And the other thing you'll notice is that if I grab the corner of this window, I can actually resize it and push it onto one side so that I can, work with other documents or zoom on the other side of my computer. And so I can move this around. But this window over here is the CSDE terminal service. It's a Windows connection, or it's a connection to a Windows computer over the internet. And just very quickly, I'll show you if I go down here. You'll see under here, there's under the start window, there's an ArcGIS, and we'll be using these software in here, in particular ArcMap 10.7.1. Okay, and then the other thing that's mentioned in this tutorial is how to save your files. I recommend using the H drive, and so if we go to the start window, and you'll see there's a file explorer. See on this computer, they've got a variety of different drives, and the H drive is labeled with my name. So we'll be storing exercises in this H drive. And so you'll see I have some other things, but what we can do is, we can set up a folder here called ENVH GIS. Okay, and then under here, we can have subfolders for each exercise that we do in lab. So it might be exercise 1, and then under here we would put all our exercise 1 working documents. And then maybe, when we go to the week for exercise 2, we'll create another folder here and then put all our exercise 2 files under there. And then when we get to our final projects, we can do sort of a folder for our final project, like that, just as an example. Now keep everything nice and tidy. So when we go to our H drive and we need to pick up where we last left off on certain exercises, we'll know that everything's under this ENVH GIS folder, and we can go back in and continue our work where we last left off. And so under this H drive, I should be able to log off, which I'll do now, and disconnect. And the next time I go back into here, those folders should still be there. We could try and do that really quickly. So if we go back, I just launched it again. And then if we go back into File Explorer and go to H, you'll see we've still got those folders that we set up last time. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's how we're going to be using CSDE. So good luck setting this up. We'll run through this together in class. Thanks.